Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a very natural flawless finished makeup for a dark skin lady, and I hope you enjoy watching this as much as I did making it. The first thing I did is that I went in with my glycerin and rose water. It's the same thing with micellar water if you have that. And then you want to thoroughly clean the face to take away oil and dirt to avoid clogging the pores. You dry that up, and then I went in with my SPF for my prepping. You want to go on the T-zones and then spread it from there to the rest of the face evenly and blend into the skin. And also you want to dry that after you're done spreading it. The next thing I did after my SPF, I used the Rimmel Fix and Perfect multi-action primer, and you also want to go from the T-zones and then spread it to the rest of the face and dry. Make sure you dry after each stage of prepping. So for very oily skin and to hold your makeup longer, I'm using Zaron oil block to hold my makeup, control oil for the rest of the day, and to keep your makeup intact. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm using, the oil block. And then you want to evenly dry that as well before you start your foundation. Before I started applying foundation, I did a skin testing. I already had my foundations out. I used Adventure in Espresso, Issa and Those in bronze, and Mary Kay in bronze 607, and I tried that on her skin to help me determine which one would be her shade. They were either too dark or too light, so I was able to blend in two different shades. That's a very dark one and the middle one. I mixed together to get her exact skin shade for me that would also give me very good coverage for her dark areas. Then I went on and you want to blend it properly into the skin so the foundation sits properly. Blend out of the face into the hairlines, into the ear areas, under your jaw. Just take it out of the face. Don't do circles around when you do your foundation. Then to moisturize the lips, I'm using PS High Glows I got from Primark. For the highlighting, I'm using Classic HD in shade 02, and I'm just kind of dabbing it in. I don't just want to drop it there so it doesn't form um like patches or clusters when I'm blending in. So I'm kind of, just dabbing it into the skin but not blending at the same time. And I'm just going on my T-zones. Your T-zone is just a straight line in the middle of your face and across the line on your both sides of your cheekbones. That gives you your T-zone, so like a cross. So as you can see those areas. For my orange highlighter, the concealer, that's Mary Kay. That's Mary Kay in bronze 607. I'm using around it to, act as a corrector and for an even blending into transition into the other areas of our skin, you know to avoid it being too loud or too light when I'm done blending. So now I'm just going in with my beauty blender. I want to first of all blend in all my highlighted areas before applying the contour. So I went in, blended it all in, all out, and made sure my highlight was sitting properly. I left out the concealer under the eye because I just wanted that to sit for a bit before I blended that out. Then I went on to apply my contour around the nose bridges to because I already did my highlight. What this does for me is that it helps me to sculpt out you know the nose arc the way I want it. And I went on to contour under the cheekbone, just starting from the ear lobes, on the forehead and under the jaws. And you want to also blend that out evenly and properly. I'm using the Belusta beauty blender, beauty sponge. I'm using two different types, for one for highlight and one for contour, to avoid mixing up my shades and then messing up my highlights and contour effect. So I'm using another one now to blend in all the contoured areas evenly into the skin to give me more sculpted and slimmer face. That's what I'm doing right now, and I just went ahead to do that anyways. When I was done applying the contour, I went on with my highlighting beauty sponge to blend out the concealer under the eye. Then I went on to bake all my highlighted areas using Sacha Buttercup setting powder, and I just went on all the T zones, all the areas I highlighted. And I was actually intentionally very generous with this because I really wanted it to sit well and to come out flawless. So that's what I'm doing here. Then I use it right under the contour line to sculpt more, leave the cheekbone. So while the face was baking, I went on with my PS Illuminating Cream Blush to on just after the under the eye to give it a little rosy cheek, and then for a glow. This blush is actually very good even if you don't want to wear bronzer after your makeup. It actually has a very nice finish, like it's so lovely. I went ahead to also bake the blush, to mat it and to set it into the skin properly with the rest of the liquid makeup. And then I dusted it off the highlight, the setting powder out of the face. I didn't want that to sit for too long. And then I went in with Sacha finishing powder to set under the eye before I went on to start doing my brows. I'm using Owens Brow Tint in two shades. This one acts as your brow tint. You want to brush this in the direction you want your brows, the brow hair to go, the natural brow hair to go. So I'm just brushing it up to achieve a very natural faint brow. That's the final finishing. I actually had a little challenge because I mapped my brow with the brush. I'm used to mapping my brow with my pencil, but this time around I just wanted to try something new, and I went ahead to do my mapping with the brush. It came out a bit big, and then it kind of took me a while to now bring it down to the size I wanted, which I do not like when I'm doing makeup. I just like to get the right size, the right shape, and then just define the brows and move on to something else. But you know, we learn every day. So yeah, I was very intentional with this brow. Although she doesn't have much, she has a very scanty sparse brow hair. So I was, trying to just fill it in lightly towards the end and have some light strokes in front to really achieve a natural brow. And that's what I was doing. When I was done, I used Milani 2-in-1 in shade 08, uh, concealer and foundation, to highlight on that. That's what I'm using right now. I think I also mixed that up with the classic, all the Mary Kay I had on my plate, on my serving plate. I was mixing that up to avoid it not coming out too white, too whitish or cream. And I was also trying to achieve the yellow toned, which is her natural skin shade, to give me a warm finish. And then for the front, I use the Issa and Dose in shade ebony to do the front because that is the closest to her skin shade. I wanted her to come out as natural as possible. And I also used the same shade to define the upper part of the brows. And you see what that did for me is that I didn't have to do much cleaning, or it just blends out as I outlined my brows, and that really worked. So I just went on and I just kept trying to bring the brows to the right size and shape that I wanted, because like I said, it was big. The mapping was a bit bigger than it should be, and then it took me a bit longer to bring it down, but we conquered. Yeah, that happens. So I just went on and I did the brows. I'm also using the beauty blender to blend out the edges of the concealer into my eyeshadow field, because into the crease of my eyeshadow because I didn't want it to look too cakey or clutched up. So for my eyeshadow primer, I'm using by 9 cream white as a base for my shadow field, and I just went on with that, all over the shadow area and on both sides of the face. You want to blend that in properly because it just takes the eyeshadow the way whatever you leave, it forms that way. So you want to make sure that this goes all the way in and is flawlessly blended. For my transition, I'm using that very dark wine. It's chocolate and is wine at the same time. It's really lovely because I'm trying to achieve a very natural brow. I'm using that as my transition shade around the eyes to blend out all the colors and then to give it a pop. I did that on both sides of the face after I did the primer, and I'm just blending it all out to look really nice and flawless. So I went in with the dark black smoky for the smoky edges. I went in, and then for the outer area of the eye to give it a nice wing and to give it a smoky finish. I also used this brush to go on my transition creased area to give it more depth and intense. When I was done with that, I used this nude. Guys, my eyeshadow palette, the first one is full of grace, and this second one is I Good Co. Something like that. Really lovely. I'm using this nude white to matte up the primer. Yeah, I'm using it to matte up the eyeshadow primer, and then I'm also blending out my transition in the front area because I just want the primary color to kind of be in the middle, not at the beginning of, at the inner corner of her eyes. So I went on to apply that shade on both sides. And then for the pigmented eyeshadow, guys, this was so lovely. The camera didn't do justice. I used the cream kind of white gold and champagne gold, and it was so nice. It was calm, it was glowy, and it was warm at the same time. It was really lovely. Then for my eyeliner, I'm using Karate in black gel liner. It's very creamy. The product is really good because it doesn't cake up on you. I'm using that to outline the upper part of her eyelid into her lashes to make sure there are no dirt and then to give it more definition. I like what liner does to your eyeshadow. It just kind of pops out everything, makes it look really beautiful. That's what I'm doing here. I did that on both sides of the face. You want to make sure you're actually drawing the same thing and the same size, the same shape on both sides of the face. So there is no obvious difference. You want to gently blend that into the lashes to kill any kind of powder dirt or eyeshadow splash on it. I'm so sorry about this inner eyeliner, guys. My model is not used to having makeup done, especially in the eye area, so she was so scared and I had to just skip it. I'm sorry. Then for my blending powder, for the finishing highlight, my compact highlight contour and the finishing powder, I'm using House of Tara powder palette. Thank you, Tara. You guys gifted me palettes, years ago when I was still doing my thing in Abuja. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. So I just went on, and first of all, I went on the highlighted areas with, of course, a shade or two lighter than her skin. I had a palette, so I was mixing different colors to give me what I wanted, and I just blended that in all through her face. And then whenever I'm not holding my model's face, she just lifts it up. Once again, we are sorry. So because I was using one hand to hold my palette, I couldn't really hold her face down to blend. Then for my blush, I'm using classic blush palette. Guys, you guys might not like classic, but this blush palette is giving, you know. It's well pigmented, it's nice, it's got amazing nude and loud shades. So if you have it, you're covered, and it's really durable. And the palette is so padded, if it falls, it doesn't really crack. Then for my illuminating finish bronzer, I'm using Anastasia Glow Kit. Very lovely bronze palette. So that's what I'm using for to pop my highlighted areas on the areas I wanted to. You get on the T zones, actually the areas I have highlighted. I'm going on with the bronzer on it and around the nose arc to give it more definition and more depth. I also use this after I use powder around her neck and her chest. I also use the bronzer around there to give it a glow as well. Then I went in, I needed a chocolate liner. The best I got was my eye pencil Milani, and I think in O3, the dark one. And that's what I'm using here. And I'm using MAC lipstick in kind of sexy B18. I'm applying it with a lip brush. Using a brush helps me have more, lipstick at the same time to give more coverage and to give a quicker result than just going back and forth with the lipstick and trying to get the right thing. And then it's good to use a brush when you're doing makeup for different people, because you don't want to be passing one lipstick on different mouths, you know, sake of hygiene and safety. So I just went in, used my angle brush to kind of just clean off the excess and define the lip lines, to highlight the lip lines. And then I used my mini puffy brush to mat up the eyebrow arc. Then I used the mascara to clean off all the dirt around the lashes, the natural lashes, and then on the artificial lashes after I fix. My client doesn't, she's scared of, eye makeup, so I wasn't able to apply mascara on her lower lashes. So we had to skip that. She, at this point, she was feeling herself, she was happy. You can see how she's glowing. She felt so beautiful, and I loved it for her, and I loved it. I enjoyed doing this, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Have you subscribed? Please like and share. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. For more educative tutorials on makeup and beauty, please stay tuned. Go nowhere and enjoy this ride and growth with me. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Bye.